Hi, I'm Bernice Bruin, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm a Pampered chef, independent consultant in the United States. And today I'm going to show you how I make my quick and easy sloppy joes using different Pampered chef products. It's quick to make. You can have the dinner on table in about 30 minutes, and you can make plenty to put in your freezer to enjoy later. So let's get on to our cooking. Okay, I've added 2 pounds of ground beef to my pan with a little bit of olive oil that will preheat it. I am using my mix and chop now to break up the ground beef. You can see how the curved blades work, where I can actually get into the corners here. And I can actually move the beef around. This looks great for ground beef. It particularly works well also for like ground turkey. Ground turkey doesn't have the natural fat like beef, so a lot of times it clumps when you're cooking it. This is a great tool to have on hand when you're making something with turkey meat. Also works well to make scrambled eggs. You could mash some bananas when you're making banana bread, when you're making your banana muffins, whatever it might be. Whenever you need something to stir, you can use your mix and chop, because again, it's for chopping and it's for mixing and stirring. So you can see how I'm kind of twirling it as I'm working the meat. And then basically what I will do is let it cook for a little while. Once it cooks down, I then will strain it in a colander, and I will pour some warm water over it to remove any excess fat. And then I will return it to the pan after I saute some onions and some green peppers that are fresh out of our garden. And then we will add some additional ingredients to it to make it a wonderful chili. So while this is cooking down, to save time, I start chopping my green peppers and my onions, start getting anything measured to save time, and that way I can get dinner on the table so much more quicker than if I did everything one step at a time. So while this is cooking, I will do a few other tasks so I can keep the process moving forward. Our ground beef is cooking, so now I am going to chop our onion in our food chopper. I usually put a whole onion in, but this is a pretty big onion, so I think I will end up only using part of it. I left some of the outer skin on that I actually don't really want to use, so I'll take that out. And if you're not satisfied with the chop, the nice thing about the food chopper is you can chop it to what you would like it to be. Doesn't take very long either to chop it. And that's the nice thing about the food chopper, is if it's not chopped to what you need it to be, you can just continue chopping it. But if you chop it too small, like say in a food blender or something of that nature, you can't undo that. So I would prefer to have something that starts a little bit larger, giving you that opportunity to look at it and say, no, let's do a little bit more. looking good. And again, I did leave the skin on the outside. That's a little thicker and I don't like to use in my cooking. And I think I'll just do one more, excuse the reach, one more piece. One looks pretty good out the gate. Maybe just a little bit more chopping. Okay, put that aside. Like I said, a little bit of the outer edge that I just didn't take off to begin with. So my onions are done. I'm just going to take another quick spin of my meat here, but unfortunately you're out of the view right now, so let me just bring the camera over here so you can see. And I'm just going to stir it. Okay, put the fire on just a touch higher. Again, you can see where it's been cooking down, and now I'm almost stirring it with my mix and chopper. Stirring it or actually mixing it. Get those pieces off, making sure we don't get any big chunks. Okay, this is close to being done. I'm going to keep that away from my veggies. So we're going to come back over here. So right now, I'm happy with my onions. I'm going to kind of put them aside on my board. Purposely using a small board because I know a lot of people have small kitchens, and I want to just show you how you can use our products here in a smaller space. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some fresh garlic, and we've got to get rid of the skins, and we use our garlic little roller here. And literally you roll it, if you can hear that, and then that will just remove that skin for you. There you go. And then just that easy, it just pops right off for you. I don't know how many of you struggle with trying to get this off. I know I certainly do. There you go. And you can see it just gets that all off for you. And it really just starts to really starts to fall off, really. I mean, that was always one of the harder parts of garlic, is actually getting that outer skin off. Now all I'm doing is rolling that in here, and it just pops right out now. Pops right off. Easy, easy peasy. And then you might get a few little ends here that you could just quickly trim off. Few seconds, and that's it. I got my garlic ready. We're going to press it in a little while. I already chopped my green peppers. The other thing we could get ready is we're going to open up some tomato paste. So we've got our smooth edge can opener. That's just going to do an easy work of this. And again, I'm purposely doing everything in a very small space because I know a lot of people have indicated they need products that works in small spaces. There you go. There you go. And it just comes off clean, easy. I can touch it, I'm not worried about getting cut. I can put this aside when I'm ready to add my tomato paste. Okay, so the meat is looking pretty good. Again, I'm going to bring the camera over here so you can see where we're at. So we're really at the point where we're going to start to, I'm going to drain this. I'm going to put some warm water over it. I'm going to make sure that we don't have any, I'm going to remove as much of the excess fat as I can. And then we'll put it back in the pan, and then we'll finish our sloppy joes. Okay, so our beef is done, and it's been rinsed, and it's draining. I heated some olive oil, and I started cooking the sweet onions and peppers. Next thing I am going to do, they've been cooking for a few minutes. I am now going to put in the garlic. Garlic, you know, you don't want to cook it as long as you will your, got my knife with me, here, wait, this is good. You don't want to cook it as long as your onions and your green peppers, because it will burn. So I put it in for not very long. There we go. And get all that garlic there. Make sure you get it off. Yeah, it'll be a little hot, but you can also do it off the flame if that bothers you. Then what I'm going to do is just quickly stir that in. Heat down just for a little bit. Next, I'm just going to put in some brown sugar, a couple tablespoons. That's to taste. But probably for this, I probably put 2 tablespoons of chili powder for 2 pounds. So basically, kind of like a tablespoon a pound of chili powder. Salt, pepper. I actually like to mix all that in. Release the flavors from the beef before doing anything else. Worcestershire sauce, very like me, you can never pronounce. The green peppers, one thing I forgot to mention, I did use this handy little gadget here to actually clean out the center parts of them. And then a little water, a little ketchup. Just the other way. I'm right-handed, so I'm used to putting everything in from the right. But I have to get used to doing this from the left. Anyway, so I make my sauce. Don't really let it cook too much. The only other thing I'm going to add to this, now normally if I would get a spatula and just make sure I get the rest of that out. I am now going to put in some tomato paste. Generous scoop. I will share with you the recipe that I use that has the actual measurements, because I don't always really measure. I put in some mustard, a couple tablespoons. Looks pretty good to me. And I just stir that all up. Get all that incorporated. Start heating that up a little bit. It doesn't take long for it to incorporate together. Now I'll put the meat in, put a lid on, and I'll let it simmer for a while. And now it's really up to you. You could let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes and then serve your sandwiches. You could let it slow cook a little longer. It's really, really up to you. And then what I will do is I'll put some in containers, and I will actually put some in the freezer. I like to put enough in for one meal at a time. Okay, so here we go. There's our ground beef. Yep. I drained it, like I mentioned before. And then the water, I have it in a glass container. I'll put it in a refrigerator, and then it'll get thrown out. I don't put it down the sink. This is actually not really the best thing for the sink. Or the water system. So I don't pour it down the sink. Okay. So the only other thing I would do when I'm making these is I would just look to see, is this covered good? Yeah, it looks like it's covered pretty good. If it looks like it's too dry, I would probably add a little bit more water to it. I may add a little bit more tomato paste or ketchup to it. Now what I'll just do is we'll be putting a lid on this. I'll be letting it simmer for a while, and then I will have some for dinner, and then we will put the rest in the freezer. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. Thanks for stopping by my kitchen, and come back again for more cooking demos and recipes and actual real-life usage of Pampered Chef products. Have a great day. Our sloppy joes have been cooking for about five minutes or so. And I just wanted to kind of show you what they look like now. I did take the lid off of them. They are starting to bubble, which is nice. I probably would give this another 5 minutes or so minimum to heat through before serving it. Or you could simmer this, slow cook this for a while, and kind of like a chili. And you could really bring out more of the flavors with a little bit more of the slow cooking. This is why I like to batch cook sloppy joes, is I typically will make at least 3 pounds at a time. I would tend to have three or even 4 pounds. I'll have a couple burners going, while I'm chopping and dicing and getting things ready. I might as well make a larger batch of them. Then I'll measure them out into containers, put them in the freezer. We like to serve them on sandwiches. I like to toast the rolls with some butter so the rolls crisp up. And sometimes we actually will make some pasta, and we'll just take some of the sloppy joes and just put it in the sauce and serve this right over the pasta. So it really is, there's a lot of opportunities, different ways that you could serve this than the traditional sloppy joe sandwich. However, I do have to say that that is my favorite, is the traditional sandwich. I get a nice roll, toast it. It's just delicious. A side of mashed potatoes. I think it's got to be the traditional comfort food. One of the more popular comfort foods. I hope you enjoy the recipe.